It's that time of the day. The pub is open. Thank goodness for that. It's Talking Pints. Before I introduce my guest, have a look at this clip and see if you... Yes, it's Kerry Katona, who was in Atomic...
Nige.
Cheers, great.
Cheers, me lovely.
To see you.
How we diddling? Oh, this is lovely in here, isn't it?
Well, it's the GBNews pub. It's not bad, isn't it? I mean...
Brilliant.
You won't get this at the BBC or Sky
No,
News,
you
I can
won't,
assure you.
will you?
You know. Kerry, really interesting. I mean, there you were, in Atomic Kitten, in a position of incredible fame.
Yeah.
I mean, really incredible fame and success and money. You had a very tough start in life. How do you go from a tough start to being in a video like that and being a star?
In the right place at the right time, Nige. I was in a nightclub. And got approached. For me, it was unbelievable. It was everything I ever wanted to become famous. And for me, when I say becoming famous, I wanted to be loved. That's what I wanted more than anything. I think everybody wants to be loved, but I was so desperate to be loved. So when I became a celebrity and I'm on the stage, it was great. I loved it. I still do now. I still love performing in the shower.
So getting into this group, it just happened.
It just happened overnight. Yeah. So I was in a nightclub, right place at right time. This guy said to me, I know this guy called Andy McCluskey from All Casual Manoeuvres in the Dark. I went along, took me page 3 photographs, told a few jokes, sang a few songs, and they based a band around my personality, and I was a founder member.
Now, page 3, you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Page
Was
3.
you a fan, Nigel?
Oh, big time. But we're not supposed to say that anymore.
I don't see why not.
I mean, page 3, it's all stopped. It's all been banned. It's all seemed to be awful. It's all seemed to be demeaning to women. How do you respond to that?
Well, I do Onlyfans, Nigel, which is an over 18 site as well, and that's how I've become a millionaire again. For me, at school, not going to lie, I had a great chest on me. I wasn't going to be a rocket scientist. Can't believe I'm having this conversation with Nigel Farage on national television. But I had a great rack on me, and I wasn't going to become a rocket scientist. But I knew in my head to get out of this council estate and become what I wanted to. That was my get out. I was a pretty girl.
Was doing page 3, was it demeaning?
No, not at all.
Was it exploitative?
No, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt empowered. This is my body, Nigel. I'll do with it what I want. And for me, I didn't have the brains to be a politician or a doctor, but I had the body and I had the brains to know to use that body to a certain extent to get what I wanted. And that was the money and the success and the foundation for my children have private education. All of my kids have had private education. I live in a beautiful £2 million house. I've done that. I've created it. And because I've created this little empire, for me now, I've been able to invest in myself with my dating app and my clothing brand and my fitness brand.
But before you got to where you are now, so you had this amazing app and, you know, Atomic Kitten is a mega success and people love it. You make quite a bit of money out of it. You get married, of course, to another big pop star.
Yeah, Brian McFadden.
So, kind of, you've gone from where you were to just this most incredible...
So I got a blessing from the Pope when I married Brian. Load of good that did like. But honest to God, I've gone from this kid in foster home to, you know, inviting Mariah Carey to my wedding, to getting a blessing from John Paul the Pope himself.
That's amazing.
You know, and I think that goes to show you can achieve and do anything that you want to, that you set your mind to.
You believe in yourself.
100%. I'm a massive believer in law of attraction, manifestation, affirmations, gratitudes. I'm a massive believer in all that. I've been on every side of the coin you can think of. But I've brought it all back.
Because then you went into the jungle.
I did go in the jungle.
And you became the queen of the jungle.
I did. You know what? That for me was, I think, still today, the highlight of my career.
Was it?
To have that amount of love, I keep going back to love again, and being put on that pedestal, which the press do, Nigel, which you know it does.
Well, they put you up,
we'll
come to that in a moment.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
So, wasn't it humiliating doing bush trucker trials and all this kind of stuff?
Oh, God, no. It was great. For me, I get offered to do these reality shows, and for me, Nigel, I think, wow, what a great opportunity. I would never normally go and do something like that as a normal person. You wouldn't, unless it's offered to you. I've got amazing memories. I've done great adventures. I've done things that I never thought I'd do in a lifetime, and I'm being paid to do it at the same time.
So it was all going. You know, we get into sort of 2004, 5, 6, and kind of life can't get much better. Mm-hmm. But then it all goes wrong, Kerry.
Yeah, it does.
Why
it all went wrong, didn't it?
Was it too much success too quickly?
No, I think when my first husband left me, for me, that was straight back down to earth. So before I met Brian, I was an atomic kitten. I lived like in a council estate. I was doing drugs with my mother. Mm-hmm. And Brian was like this knight in shining armour, took me away, moved me to Ireland, sorted my life out. He left me straight back to where... I love my mum to bits, by the way. She's sound now. But straight back to where I started. So rather than grieving my marriage failure, not only did I feel a failure as a wife, I felt a failure as a mother as well. And my go-to was cocaine, unfortunately, and that became my best friend, Nigel.
And then the press who
they had a field day.
And you were...
When the News Up World was around, they had a field day with me,
they did. You were plastered, weren't you? All over the Murdoch
everywhere,
newspapers.
yeah.
And it was relentless.
Yeah, it made me feel suicidal. It really was.
Did it?
Was, yeah, there was like 40 paps outside my house every single day. I know that Saturday phone call when you got,
I've been through it, yeah.
And you'd be scared, and my phone even to this day is always on silent. I hate phone calls. I always think it's going to be bad news. If my manager rings, I think, oh my God, what is it? I get really scared. It was to a point, it was suicidal. That... I couldn't trust everybody. Everyone was telling stories, and then obviously there was, the hacking thing, and it was like I didn't know who to trust. And cocaine became my confidant. It gave me confidence when I needed it. It was there when nobody else was, and it just turned out to be a liar, really, like most men, Nigel. I nearly died doing that, but I had to turn it all around. Yeah.
And how did you... I mean, because with the cocaine and with where you got to...
And then went bankrupt.
And then, going to say, the money started...
Yeah.
So where did all the money go, Kerry?
Well, I had a dodgy accountant. And, he robbed loads of people, but I was the only type of he did it. So he got sent down for it. But a lot of people think that it was because I spent my money on cars and drugs. Listen, I could afford to buy all the drugs. I could afford to go and buy a Porsche. I could afford to do what? But unfortunately, I trusted the wrong people with my money. And I lost everything.
So you nicked your money?
Yeah, I lost everything. I had a dodgy husband as well at the time. I lost everything, and for me...
So you were declared bankrupt?
Yeah, and...
How humiliating was that?
You know what? This is a thing that we don't speak about as well in life. When you lose your money, you almost get dismissed. You go from here, but just because I lost my money didn't mean I changed as a person. I was still that nice, kind, caring, funny, awesome person I was. But because you haven't got that money in the bank that you first had, it's almost like, oh, we don't know what to do with her now. But it was the best thing that happened because
and what did the press... So when you've gone bankrupt, do you suddenly go from being somebody who's been in the press for 10 or 15 years, are you just sort of persona non grata, ignored?
Oh, no, I was constantly in the press.
You were still in the press
all the way through it. I mean, even today, it's all the way through. I think the press have changed hugely.
It's better, isn't it?
It is better, but we're still not quite there. It is better than what it used to be. I mean, back in the day, it was awful. The cameras was up the skirts, getting in a taxi. You walk out of a place and you're blinking. It's like, oh my God, she's drunk.
I had all that.
But it's not like. I mean,
but not to the level that you had.
No, the level I had was awful. I mean, when I did this morning interview, the front page, Mary Kerry, Sherry Kerry. I mean, I laugh at it now. But going back to bankruptcy, when I first went, looking back on it, that was the best thing that happened to me.
Go on.
Because all those hangers-on, I was buying their love and their friendship. They all just disappeared like rats. They all just vanished.
Because they weren't real friends.
Yeah. And then I really had to work hard. The thing what people don't understand with bankruptcy is I still work and I still earn money, but you're only allowed to live on a certain amount of money. So I was still earning money, but they all just disappeared because that money had to be so... well looked after and what it had to go on, but they all just disappeared.
And how do you deal with the cocaine problem?
Oh, that was easy. That was the easiest thing ever.
Really?
Giving up cigarettes was harder.
I haven't managed that yet.
I just stopped cigarettes. Cocaine was... It wasn't like I was addicted to it. I was a binger that once I started, I couldn't stop. For me, it was... I moved down south. I was living up north. I packed my car up. I thought, I'm going to end up dead. I packed my car up, got the kids in the back of the car. We're going on an adventure, kids. And I moved down south. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Drugs are everywhere.
Yeah.
everywhere from the big city to a little village in rural England.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say to your kids about these drugs?
Well, I think my kids wasn't aware that I was doing drugs. My Molly and Lily, I think Molly was 9 and Lily was 8, and I sat them down and I did a documentary called Kerry Katona Coming Clean. And there was in this big private school, and I wanted them to see the documentary themselves. And they were dead shocked. They was like, when did all this happen? For me, I'd like to think that my kids know what I've been through. I'm very open and honest. Even in front of my 7-year-old, if someone asks me about addiction, I will speak about it. It's completely open. I want my children to know every side of it that you can think of. You know, so I like to think that they wouldn't do it because they've seen what I've gone through myself.
You said earlier on in this interview that the feeling that cocaine was your friend, that it was there when nobody else was there, but that it was all a lie.
Mm. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a lie. It's called the devil's dandruff. It's the most evil thing in the world, even more so than Mark Croft. It is very, very evil. And for me, it's something I know that I'll never, ever go back and do, ever in a million years. I've worked too hard to get to where I am today.
Yeah. And what do we do with young people? Is the messaging right in schools or...?
No, it isn't. And another thing that's not even good in schools as well, which really gets to me, like the bankruptcy and the drugs, it's not spoke about. You go to school, Nigel, and you learn about the Battle of Hastings, right? What's that going to do for somebody when they leave school? No one teaches you about a mortgage. I want you to tell me why it's not in the education. No one teaches you about mortgage, don't teach you about bankruptcy, unless you do a business course.
Yep.
And not everybody does that, and it's only briefly spoke about then. You don't teach about your VAT or your tax or life insurance or a will or a mortgage.
So you're not being prepared for life.
You're not, and they're the most important things. You have to, you know, the whole dream is, you know, getting married, having kids, getting a mortgage, getting your life. No one teaches you any of that.
I love it. You're right.
Like your credit card, no one teaches you about anything.
Just getting people to pass exams is not education.
Well, I don't think so. It's about life skills. I'm with you. No one and even today, like, when my children leave school, they're not going to have a clue how to get a mortgage. No one teaches that kind of stuff. Or about drugs and mental health. It's not taught enough. 1 in 4 people suffer. I've got bipolar. 1 in 4 people suffer with a mental health. No one teaches it in school properly. I think it's wrong. Come on, Nigel, you can sort this out.
You ever thought about politics?
Me for MP.
But you're really passionate there about the way we should be bringing teenagers
100%. I think we go on about life, and the reason why so many people make these mistakes with drugs is due, a lot of it, to mental health, and it's not spoken about enough in the schools at all. Addiction, bipolar, things like domestic abuse. This is real life stuff that you're taught that happens to people when they grow up, you know, and none of that is taught, and I think it's wrong.
No,
what can you do about it, Nigel?
Well,
love.
Look, I'm with you. I think the education system, we're letting our kids down in this country terribly.
Hugely.
At school, I think we're sending too many kids to university who get degrees that don't help them.
And they don't even do anything with it.
Well, they could be learning trades and skills and things they're proud of for
100%.
themselves. So, no, I'm absolutely with you on that. After all these disasters, you then decide that the Big Dipper of the Katona life, you see, which is after some pretty big highs, and you've hit the lows here, but you've given up the horrible white powder stuff, and you've decided you're going to fight your way back. Yeah. I've got to ask you about Onlyfans.
Yeah.
Which...
Do you want a free subscription, Nigel? Come on, I don't mind. Friends discount and all.
I've got to ask you about Onlyfans. I'm ignoring that, by the way. I've got to ask you about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is exploitative, isn't it?
Well, it depends on what you do on there. I mean, what is the difference than me? I go topless every year on holiday because I don't want tan marks, because I do photo shoots. Look at the photo shoots back in the day. You had Zoo magazine, you had FHM, you had Nuts. You know, there's nothing that I've not done in those magazines that I'm not doing on OnlyFans. Okay. And I go topless every year on holiday with my children, just because I'm lying there like that and my nipples are under my armpits. But when I'm doing OnlyFans and I'm stood like that, yeah, I'm making the money. Yet when I'm on a beach with the kids, the paps are getting pictures and making the money.
Because there are lots
I be making the money?
No, fine, Kerry, if you're doing it and you're in control of it and you're in charge of it, and that's fine. But there has been a lot of criticism of that site, hasn't there?
I don't know. I think it's an over-18 site, you know. It's for an over-18s people. I don't understand what the criticism is. It's not just topless and that kind of thing. You can go on there and do a makeup tutorial or a cooking lesson.
The criticism is that it is de facto a sort of pornographic site.
Yeah. Well, it can can be. It depends on what you're signing up for. By all means, a lot of stuff I do is very sexy. I do topless modelling on there. That's as far as I go, because I do have to... My Molly, who sat out there, she took pictures of me. There's no difference me she's going to be mortified now. Me walking out on a beach, at a bar, in the sun, in the Bahamas, having a pint, topless, enjoying the sun, and then a pap gets a picture. So I can't... I do it, I take control, get my kids a private education with it so they can go learn about the Battle of Hastings and get no real life education.
Ancient Greek. Boris Johnson's got all that stuff, ancient Greek and all the rest
I
of it.
don't get it, I don't understand it.
And Kerry, you're also involved with Thrills, aren't
you? Yes,
you?
I am.
Tell us about that.
So I'm the creative advisor of Thrills. So Thrills is like a personal message to your fans. You know, we all used to autographs back in the day, but now because of social media and things like that, so a fan can get in touch, ask for a personal video, happy birthday, congratulations on your wedding, from whichever fan they want, whether it's myself or, I don't know, yourself, if you ever wanted to do something like that, Nigel. And I think it's amazing to give that person. For me, Nigel, I love nothing more than making people smile.
You're good at it.
I am. See? There you go. And I did that one for free for you. For me, it's about making people happy. You've got one life, haven't you? And that's what Thrills is all about. And you can do corporate things as well, like do a video about mental health or cheer somebody up. We've had this awful pandemic, and I've loved nothing more than sending personal videos of happy birthday, congratulations, singing a bit of Whole Again, and knowing
making money.
I'm making money. At the end of the day, I'm going to make money every way I can. I've got an orphanage at home, me, Nigel. I've got to feed my kids.
So you're back on top.
Yeah.
Life's great.
Yeah.
No more disasters.
Well,
no
I
more
can't
falls.
say that because I'm only human at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? Life's life. You don't know what's around the corner. It's how you deal with it. That's the difference.
That was Kerry Katona finishing her Talking Pints piece with some real philosophy.